Good evening, Mr. Dynamite.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing? Just get a cut by one mic.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on. I was just trying to turn you down on my side because you were coming through hot. Although that's not your problem. That's my problem. But if you're up and going, I will send the raid over to you right now. Find you. Coming up in here, down. There you are. Okay. I found you. I'm going to start that raid right now, Dell. Whatever reason, I stopped being able to hear you, but...
Hello.
We're going to raid on over to Dell. You guys have a fun time over there. We'll see you next dub time on this dub channel. Bye!
Oh, hello there. Hello.
I never have any audio on time. Benson knows that really well. Hey, Carnage Joe, good to see you. B, I did catch your comment. Do what you need to do. That works. And what else we got? Good to see you, Yellow.
Hello.
And Fantastic Sherlock Fox, and lots more hellos. Okay, what else we got? Apparently I double parked myself, so that's even sillier. Alright. Woohoo! Yeah, these Discord handoffs are such a mess for me. Always a mess. Okay, let's see. Which way to home? Ah! Well, that was a nice idea. There we go. Okay. PH. Just point me home. I normally just take the train, but I figure, hey, I've got the stuff. Let's see if I could actually, like, not crash into things. Maybe. Maybe. So what I'm probably gonna do is I'll take the box with me, and then we'll see about trucking it over to drop it off in actually the post office. I think that makes a good sense. All right. So those of you who've been watching me all week know the drill. I'm still enamored with working on my monastery or abbey of sorts. We're using light Matica, and let's just put the armor back on. Hats and things. Now, let's move this before I lose it. That is amazing, isn't it? Yeah, that actually blows my mind. Alright, okay, this one, actually, if I take it with me, I'm going to lose it. So, let's find a spot that I have not put boxes all over yet. Here, let's put it right up there. There, enjoy, mister. I have a ton of boxes. These are sort of like the quasi-project boxes. Not really, but the ones up here are from the mob farm down below, and I'm trying to remind myself to go collect things out of the mob farm, and I never remember. That's the precious box. Close enough. And I was putzing on this chicken cooker thing, but I made it for the type that actually has chickens in it. and then was just wasting my time puttering, trying to figure out how to do it without the chickens, just so I can grab a bunch of eggs. We, let's see, where are we now? Just the top one? Okay, that's empty, good. That one's almost empty. We are now from that end down there to, yeah, it looks like we've got just to this one. So all but this top box here is full of eggs. So yeah, I have just a few too many. Let's put these things away. So I didn't, unfortunately, as Stormy Owl had passed on, did not unfortunately have a whole lot of time to drop into Dub Dynamite's stream, maybe like 2 minutes flat. So I would like to know from someone who was there, or the Dubs themselves if they've got the time, what it is that you chose to work on the server this weekend. I know there were an awful lot of fantastic people, and I will have a whole ton of VODs to catch up on over the course of this week, because I was off in Scout Camp land, and I mean, that's a fun place to be, but it definitely means you don't get a whole lot of playtime or chance to watch other people's streams. Normally I have a face cam. It did not cooperate when I turned things on this evening, so I just decided, who cares, we're just gonna leave it like that. Is that an empty box? Oh, ha. Trying to figure out why all my boxes are all messed up, and that's my own fault, because I hit the sort button by mistake. Okay, stairs. Sounds good. Well, the sound is good, is a good one. What else we got? Just like trying to make sure I get things put away that I don't need, because I can't do 2 different projects at the same time and think it through. Oh, I know what that was. Okay. Okay, so that's for something else. Signs and things. What's this? No, not that. Eventually, that's not a box. Wow. The craft table is not an ender chest, Len. Okay. Did I got a box, good. So I'm actually gonna have to like take the time to color all these pieces. But these are for the results of the chicken cooker and stuff. I just haven't, as you can tell, got it done. Okay, semi-precious, that can go away later. Glass comes with me. Hoppers. Can't remember, so let's put it away in here. We'll figure it out. I think that's the works, because the toolbox is over on the other side. Trapdoors can stay, they're part of the chicken thing. Hello, sir, move, please. Yeah, we had fun at camp. I really had a good time. It was cold, as usual. I mean, it's always cold at camp. Our group has a funny habit that if we go camping, it shall snow. It's like, it's not even much of a joke anymore, it's just a given, which is kind of sad. Okay. So those of you, as I said, have been watching me through the week, have been seeing that I was working on monastery, and I have had a wrong one. A lovely somewhere around delivery of cobbled deep slate, I think. There. So we're gonna go back over there and get a good start on adding 2 boxes. Now, I can't remember whether or not I restocked on the stone. It's been that kind of weekend. So if we get a little short on supplies, we'll have to come back and get some more. Ow. Okay. So I just basically shot myself in the face with the rocket. This is really... What do I got here? Okay, it's the toolbox. Alright. Let's put this in there. And where did I put the shears? They did not go in the toolbox. They're supposed to go in the toolbox. Okay. Random stuff. Random more stuff. That's the egg box. Huh. I don't know where Fantastic Fox dropped off the cobbled deep slate. He said I had a box empty and he put it there, and now I don't know where he put it. So we'll take one more run back to the base and do some more box poking. Besides, I realized I didn't bring the lanterns I wanted to light up a space in the partial monastery. We have, I made a boo-boo in not looking at the schematic correctly or deeply enough. And so, no, not likely. Okay, there we go, there. And so when I switched, aha, jackpot. We'll save that one. When I switched out some oak for the cobbled deep slate tiles that I'm putting in, I forgot to account for the fact that I was switching to slabs, and it changes everything in the schematics. Would be nice if I'd remember that, but when it changed everything, I went, oopsie daisy, can't do that. So I took advantage of the opportunity to switch the cobbled deep slate that I didn't want as deep slate into slabs. You know, it's like, okay, we'll change it back to spruce slabs for the ones I had actually wanted as wood. But the boo-boo I made on that one was not adjusting for the fact that now, instead of a 1-block gap the original designer had left in between the 2 layers, I now had a 2-block gap. And as you guys are aware, 2-block gap is all it takes to bring in spiders. So I had a trapped spider in between the 2 layers, and he just gets really noisy. He hisses an awful lot. So I just gotta go clean him out and light it up inside. Why waste those? Do I have torches around? Nope, I guess it's those. Okay, they're in the right box. You can pick it up later. Geek out! Okay. So for those of you that haven't seen the Geek Out, it's kind of a new-ish thing I'm doing. Oh, can't fly through that. And it's from a game actually called Geek Out. We have the Pop Culture Edition. Sorry, I'm a little bugged by landing in strange places. Okay, where did I get turned around to? Wow, I can't fly today. The way I've been playing it on stream is that we get a topic for Geek Out, and the target is whatever the value number was on the card. If you're playing this in real life, you would actually be wagering with people, making bets on who could actually say that many and or more, and announcing sort of like your choice or your bet of what you could do. And then whoever has the highest bet, they sort of have to put their efforts where their mouth was, kind of thing. And in here, rather than doing it that way, we are just crowdsourcing the answers from chat. So if we end up exceeding that number by people only having to submit 1 or 2, then that's all the better for everybody. Actually, that's the wrong one. This one, let's just see what happens if I punch it. If I destroy it, I destroy it. It's just 1 block. So exciting. So we're getting, the topic on this one appears to be name 4 songs about the weather. That's okay. And what was I missing? I know I need some polished. And then I also needed some slabs. Don't remember how many though. Yeah, I thought it was tiles. No, yeah, it's just plain. So we've got 2 songs. Oh, 3. 3 songs so far. So their topic is 4 songs about the weather. If you include musicals, there's one from Greece called It's Raining on Prom Night. And I had another one on the tip of my tongue. Bus Stop by the Hollies. Because the guy is talking about the fact that it's raining and he's... Oh. Stairs. It's raining and he's holding an umbrella over his girl, and that's kind of how they met each other. Let's do a couple more of these. One more. Alright, that should get us for a ways. Rain, rain, go away, come again another day. Yep. My friend Benson wants to play. Or is it, Then there was the,
Hello
old man who
there.
bumped his head and he went to bed and he didn't get up in the morning. Something like that. Good evening. Hello there. Yeah, I keep saying good morning. It's just more habit than anything else. Sorry about that, people. I do apologize. Okay, so I'm up one level too high. Let's see if I can fill the holes. I was missing some deep sleep for a long time, so there's a few holes around here that could use a lot of work. Okay, so I missed it entirely. I do apologize. But did someone happen to say what it was that the Oh So Awesome Dynamites were working on? So now I have a ton of VODs to catch up on. But I'd love to be able to figure out what you guys just saw. How was Scouts? Cold. Actually, it wasn't that bad. Like, we're gonna need the converter because I can't seem to remember the Fahrenheit at the moment. But we've got, it was like -6 or something last night. I think overnight it got to like -12 at the worst. So it really wasn't that bad. I was lucky. My son went and my daughter went, but because they're in different levels, I got to stay with my daughter. Sheep Queen's group. Oh, that's not helpful. Sheep Queen's group. They were using. There we go. Do I have one on the go? Apparently. They were using a cabin. So they had a stove in the middle, and someone just had to get up and keep lighting this, like, or stuffing more into the stove overnight. I don't do that, but we've got one of our leaders is a hunter, so he's very used to doing that with his trapper cabin tent, and so he did that, and it was noisy, but so he did that the first night, and then the second night we have another scouter who kept getting up the first night and always just missing the hunter scouter, having already stuffed the stove. So when the hunter scouter had to go home early because he had a business conference for work, then the other guy got it, which was great because I didn't wake up till they were like halfway through stuffing things into the stove. So you're hearing all the creaks and the clanks and the massive snap crackles you get when you first put fresh wood in. Whereas my son got it a bit colder because the scout level, when they're 11 to 14, really, yeah, then they get they don't sleep in cabins like that most of the time. They just stay out in tents in all kinds of weather. You guys have heard my stories before where I froze pretty good in February. That was not the highlight of my year, but this one was much, much nicer. So it was cold the first night, but it ended up being a matter of just putting on a bunch of extra layers, and that helped a lot because, I mean, he's one that panic attacks when he gets cold, which doesn't help anybody in terms of sanity, least of all him. I was also first aider on call for this one, which was a bit of a pain, only in that the site where we went had a tetherball, and poor Sheep Queen took a tetherball to the face and got nosebleed. But, I mean, other than getting, you know, the red on things, we were good. Just a bit of a damper to her first half hour, but that's okay. Got it right the first time. Yeah, that convert thing is a little fussy because it doesn't want you to put the, when you're asking the question, it doesn't want you to put the unit right after the value, even though it answers it that way. So, yeah, hypocritical programming. So, yeah, we had, oh, I can hear Fantastic Shark Fox moving to actually check said clothing. So, yeah, I'm not a morning person. So, the scout leaders do the food for the younger section, and the youth, for the older section, do their own dishes and such. Oh, wrong line. It doesn't like that. Why doesn't it like that block? It wants... I've got a screen right over top of it. That's not helping me. Alright, I'll get to that story in just 1 second. I need to find how to get... Oh, there we go. Up. I've got my own chat screen on screen, and I need to see... Type deep slate bottom slab? I don't think so. That makes no sense. Why would it want a gap like that? Oh, I was clicking on the wrong thing. I see, it's faking the stairs. That's really weird. Why they would do that, I do not know. Anyway, it's been done, sure. Where was I here? Oh yeah. So the older group cooks for themselves, which means that I don't have to care. The scouters have a team. We all almost work in our own patrol units. But then the younger section, because we have to go to patrol, kitchen patrol and stuff like that for the younger kids, then when I don't do mornings very well, the number of times that I've rolled into stream out of like quite literally getting out of bed, getting clothes on, making sure my hair is not an entire nightmare, and then rolling straight into stream, which is half the reason I end up with a lot of the technical issues I do. The number of times I do that is kind of alarming. So I prearranged not to have breakfast kitchen patrol. Well, that was the plan anyway, but because our hunting scouter had to go home early, I'd swapped for Friday night. We call it mug up, basically it's snack. And I was supposed to be doing the snack handing out marshmallows and stuff so the kids could all do their, marshmallow s'mores on a stick thing. But unfortunately I had to bail because I had the nosebleed to deal with, followed immediately by an anxiety attack, followed by our the autistic kid in our cub group tripped over his own feet and relatively lightly banged his bicep on a tree, and then was whining about that, saying his arm was broken, which we found out after the fact. He doesn't really have a whole lot of concepts for various different types of injuries, so poor guy just doesn't know how to explain himself when something hurt. He knows what hurts, and he knows something doesn't hurt or whatever. So we were doing all sorts of motion tests and things, but it was still, oh, it's not broken, you might bruise. Oh, you mean I broke it? No. What's a bruise? When you get your arm gets all purple? Oh, because I broke it. Whatever, Ethan. So anyway, it's the kind of thing, you get the kid warm because he's been freaking out, and then it's like, hey, I could feel everything healing already. Excellent, Ethan, we're good. But that's okay, Stuff happens, and everybody got happy, but I just had to bail on the marshmallows and stuff because I had these things all happen within the space of about 25 minutes, so it just kept me a little busy. Oh yeah, that's part of my story. We actually had a blast doing our activities on the Saturday because we just went for a little hike around the camp, but I got to teach the 8 to 10-year-old crew how to actually use their compass to find directions. And that sounds funny, but it's not your basic northwest piece, stuff like that. We didn't quite get as far as connecting compasses to mapping, but we got as far as when they say take a bearing, which is just using your number, so you're going 270 degrees in this direction kind of thing. We got to teach them how to do that, and that was really cool to see their eyes light up. It's even funnier when they're like, well, how do we get back again? How do we know what number to get back? And it's like, just don't put the north needle in the little arrow. We call it putting the red in the shed. Just don't put the north needle in, put the south one in. It'll turn you completely around the opposite direction, use the same number, and off you go. Really? So try it. So we sent him off in one direction for about 50 paces or so, and then said, okay, so spin yourself around till you get kind of dizzy. Sounds good? Okay, great. Now, and they couldn't see the scout leaders because we'd moved in the meantime, and said, okay, come on back to where you started. You could tell the ones that were trying to find us by sound versus the ones that had actually followed directions, and it was kind of neat to see the light go on and go, you mean this works all the way back to camp? Yep. Great. And it was kind of funny because one of them said, but what if I forget what the number was? I said, well, did you look while you were hiking out in the first place? Ooh. Did you look while we were hiking in the first place? And they said, look at what? You stop, you turn around, you look behind you. Oh yeah, I kept looking for you because you were behind me. Well then, how do you think it's supposed to look to get back to camp? Oh, so the light went on. It's like, there you go. Swish, swish. Yeet! Uh-oh. Did I miss something that involved a yeet? I heard something that sounded like a drink, but that's not normally the hydrate sound I use. By the way, good to see you all, Scribbler. I think I may have forgotten to say hello to you, so pleased to see you hop in. How has everybody else's weekend been? I know that we've all been doing other things, often multitasking while we're watching our fine friends doing the stream weekend. So I'm curious to know what other sorts of things, for those who weren't in the act of streaming, did you guys get up to? Oops. Oh, the use from the stickers. Gotcha. What other sorts of fun things did you guys get up to? Hope there weren't too many that had to work this weekend. That's never a fun ball of wax when other people are having weekend time. But I mean, there is trade-offs, right? And then, oh, the one I was going to tell you guys about. I tried to play some fun games here, but we had a silly bit of improv at camp, so we played improvisation games as part of our campfire. And the kids decided there's some really basic ones, you know, you can play. We call it Fortunately, Unfortunately. It's always a fun one to play if you've got kids in the car. Even adults, it works kind of fun. Where basically, long story made short, somebody comes up with a scenario. Doesn't even have to be in depth. And then you, the next person in line, they get the chance to choose, is something that's going to have happened to the scenario where it's a fortunate thing, or is what happened an unfortunate thing. And so we get some really, really strange stuff happening. Somebody decided our scenario was that we were on our way to the moon, and that we were going to be, I think we're going in the moon, and somewhere along the line somebody decided that this was one of the SpaceX rockets. So of course people had to talk about the rapid unplanned disassembly from last week. We had people also saying that through a bunch of strange occurrences we had, what do you call it, mutant zebras attacking the planet, and they managed with their frozen paintballs, don't know why they were using paintballs in the first place, but whatever, to have knocked out the actual pilot for our rocket. But then somehow someone decided that therefore Elon Musk decided to take over as the pilot and charge everybody on the rocket for air, which we all had a good chuckle because he might. We've also, you know, so it's just sort of the first person says, you know, fortunately such and such happened then, but then unfortunately this other thing happened, and so we had about 2 or 3 crisscrossing threads, and it gets to be really, really weird when you get adults involved, because you can make up all kinds of crazy stuff that the kids kind of just don't have the pop culture history behind them to even understand. So it was quite silly. And then at one point someone said, oh well, you know, we all forgot our wallets, so we can't pay for the air. Then someone else decided that, but fortunately we did remember our login code, so every one of us could pay in Doggy Coin or Dogecoin. Where's the layer? Layer? Oh, okay. So it got to be really rather ridiculous. I see Scrubboy did have to work, but then you got the chance to play Minecraft, so that's a good score. We're working on... well, that's how it looks spelled half the time. So you're working on Geek Out for 4 songs about trains. So far we've got Runaway Train from Soul Asylum. And I'm thinking the Canadian Railroad Trilogy would probably work on that one. Just about anything from Shining Time Station, but I mean, I'm hanging out with kids, so what do you expect? Can't be on the stairs when you place them. There we go. If you're a parent and you've ever sang lullabies to your kids, there's a song called Morningtown Ride, and it's talking about trains, being on a train. It's all rock and roll and riding. Unfortunately, for me at least, and this is not one of those fortunate and unfortunate games, our aforementioned unique individual still gets lullabies from his parents, and he wanted Bagheera to sing him a lullaby to get him to bed. And I was thinking, are you freaking kidding me? Dude, you were like 9. No, 10. Are you kidding me? But apparently, and I didn't know at the time that our cub group leader had been pre-warned about this, and he just said, we'll find a way to get him to sleep, basically implying that's not how it works at Scouts. But the poor kid dozed off on another kid during one of the slow closing songs in our campfire, so I thought that was hilarious. Long Black Train. Ooh, good choice. I think I may have heard that one once or twice. How did I get up there? Now that I'm on the... rather quite literally on the roof, but I keep forgetting how I get from place to place. Indirectly, you're right, they did. That was interesting. Wonder if somehow if I have closed that one off. Shouldn't have. Minigames. Where did that one go? Minigames. I apparently did. Okay, now it's functioning. Weird. Alright, so you can type exclamation point join to be the champion of the hill. So as those of you who may have had relatives in scouting or had American scouting or whatever, you can also see that we are very inclusive in our scouting as much as we can. We don't, so we end up with quite a number of neurodiverse youth, and we do our best to make things work for them. But sometimes you get some pretty oddball requests, and this particular youth also seems to have an obsession with the fact that I have an iPhone 14. It was interesting trying to get him not to ask me 3,000 times what time it was, and to talk about something other than that. But yeah, because people just obsess on their favorite things. He doesn't have one like that. He just likes talking to somebody who has Apple technology. I got the impression from some of the things he was saying that occasionally for his parents just to get a break, that he's quite a lot, he tends to watch safe YouTube stuff, as in a lot of technology videos and things. But his latest kick apparently has been watching videos about knockoff iPhones and how to tell if it's real or fake. So yeah, just about every little thing that happened on the weekend. Oh, well, does it do this? Well, does it do that? Oh, well, it must be fake. Yeah, no. I will say though, when my own kids drive me crazy, and they're like quite, well, if anything, they're uber bright by comparison to this one at least. But when my own kids drive me nuts, I think I'm going to have a little bit more patience with them for a while, just because the other kids can be a big handful sometimes. We had another who's hasn't got any learning challenges or anything like that, but we had another kid who just, I don't know how he manages it, but he is perpetually losing things, because he's just one of those kids that gets so excited about what he's doing that he forgets that he's got something in his hand, and so he just drops things by forgetting that it was in his hand, so he has to start again, I guess. It's just different. That's okay. It's different. I'm just going to take a quick second to switch this into all mode so that you guys can see what we're trying to actually build and how far we've got. Okay, F4. So we're looking at this. Now I'm following the plan as it's drawn at the moment because the majority of the building is the way I want it to look, even though it was designed by someone else. So once again, here's your history lesson for the day. The abbey or monastery I'm looking at is based off of Benedictine Abbey in Shrewsbury, England. So that's the southwest, not too far from the Welsh border, if I can talk straight. And these ones always have the church portion in the north of the building, with the window facing, with the tip and altar's window facing east. But the one in Shrewsbury Abbey, unfortunately, does not have these double towers on it. So what I'm going to do is actually do the roofing and stuff, and potentially even do the tower while I'm at it, and then just carve down the part that I don't need to, once I can get some pictures printed or saved of the actual Shrewsbury Abbey part, and then adjust the walls at each end and move the tower more central, because it comes up this height, just one single tower in the center. The idea, once we get all of this built, is to actually populate it. See, jumped ahead of my story. To get it filled with the librarians and the clerics, preferably the ones from my existing castle. And then intentionally, if I can make it work, that's a big if I can make it work, then we will have a bunch of nitwits working for, quotes, of course, working for the librarians and clerics and such. That's the idea behind it. Because I can, while I think about it, I should probably switch back to, oops, single layer, there we go. Actually, let's try an all below, then I'll know if I missed something. But while I think about it, I should probably see if I can get into this other section where I had heard the spider and get rid of it. Or at least, not get rid of it, get it lit up before it spawns again. So as you can see, this would not have been the most ideal spot. I don't know why I put that there. Oh. Well, you can only get rid of things if you actually have the supplies with you to do so. It's a nice idea. There we go. I'm kind of glad that I've got the mob farm finally finished, because it's a very low production mob farm, but it does what I need so that I can actually get enough rockets I don't need to worry about flying. Coming in hot. Hot, hot, hot. On the wrong side of the window. Smart. Alright. Think we get a result this time? Oh, I see. Casper the Ghost beat everybody last time. Gotcha. I'm trying to figure out what you were talking about when you said that. Let's just throw one right over here. That should take care of most of it. Yeah. Should do the trick. How do I want to do this? Let's just chop to the ball. I can't seem to decide today. Yay, okay. Sorry for having turned that off the last time. That was my mistake. Can you please let me crouch out? Thank you. to I have some gaps. Weird. Well, we'll fix that at some point. Huh. Wow. Can't seem to get my reading gear today. There we go. Yellow, I did notice you were first here. And Benson, thank you for spending your points to shout them out. That was appreciated. Alright, did I bring the gravel? Was I that smart? I think we all know the answer before I even say anything. Okay, we'll leave that till later then. They don't like some of the blocks in here because I changed them out, and I'm not even sure I like some of the ones on the floor. Oh, it's because it's the grass. Okay. Huh. I didn't realize I blew it on the floor that far. Okay. Oh, we're going up. We can fix that later. Alright, where are we? Up. Up. I can see it. Don't have a tree. Oh. Okay, don't have beds, that's fine. It's a block on this side, okay. Hee! Scrub Lord is the winner. So, alright. That I brought the right block this time. Sometimes I wonder how I miss certain things, but every once in a while you get used to seeing the shadow blocks and then don't even necessarily think about the fact that they're not real, not there. Okay. Missed anything? That's up one. This, that. Excellent. So the original version, before I tried to mess around with the blocks, they had the roof all being oak. I just didn't think that looked all that realistic, so changed her up, but sometimes that kicks you. All right. Oops. Normally when I come back from camp, I'll either jump in the shower or I'll veg till shortly before bed and then shower, but with the veg, it's like, you know, go find a towel so the pillow doesn't totally stink, and then have a nap. And today I came back and I went, you know, if I have a nap and then wake up again, I'll be that weird, like, half zombie awake for the rest of the evening, and that's not how I wanted to stream, so we didn't, which just means I'm a little on the tired side. For those of you that don't do these sorts of activities with youth and or in mass quantity, we've talked off and on in the past in the stream about how I... Ooh, excellent. I can totally help with that one in just a sec. But we've talked in the past about how I track my snoring when I'm at home. Oops. So I've got an app on my phone that just... it records things and then measures... based on the loudness of the recording that it got. It gives it a rating, so overall, for your night's sleep, a lower is better kind of thing. Before I left, when my allergies were not bothering me all that much, so the last couple of days or whatever, then I was in like, I think 23, 24, maybe 32 one of those days, but anyway, that wasn't bad, right? Lower is always better. But to give you a relative comparison, by the time we had the crackling stove to keep us warm, which wasn't doing the greatest job, and then kids in a sleeping loft above, so think of like a 2-story cabin with a big open center, but the top layer is got a low roof and designed for everybody to sleep there. We got ourselves, the first night, we hit 183. And this is not a lovely little, you know, curve in that sense. It's a very spiky, very messy mess, And the increase in volume, if I read it right, I think it's supposed to be just like pure standard exponents. So it was a little bit of an interesting one. And it's funny because the kids are noisy out in tents as well, but when they're in the building, everything echoes. And it got to the point where actually we were being silly, and some of the scouters had found pine cones that had just made their way into the main floor over the last few months, and we were tossing them up onto the next level to try and get the kids to be quiet. We weren't even necessarily saying shush when they did it. We were just like banking them off the roof and having them drop on the various noisy kids. So that's how we prank. So we've got, yes, the old man was snoring for sure. See, we're back to rain songs again. But derailing to something a little more interesting, we had the Geek Out come back. We have 6 Mother Goose characters. And frequently the Mother Goose characters are the ones that show up in the nursery rhymes. Which is sort of a derailment we've touched on before, but I won't go deep into. In school, they don't seem to touch on nursery rhymes anymore. There's a bazillion reasons why various different ones are controversial. I'm not even going to go there because I get a little bit uppity about the whole thing. But anyway, it's disappointing only insofar as for our cub group, actually more so the scouts than the cubs, they have a favorite campfire song that some of the Americans I think know, but we call it The Window. But basically it has a chorus that talks about the window, the second story window. If you don't know a nursery rhyme, we'll throw you out the window. And then you say a nursery rhyme, and there's parts of it that most of it goes fine, but I'll take, for example, we had like classic Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, but in this version, he threw it out the window, right? And then you use that opportunity to launch into the chorus. And but we have a tough time because we actually are at the stage now where our cubs are having to learn parts of this song, or like nursery rhymes for the purpose of using in this song, as though they're unique verses in the song, as though they belonged there, rather than just the way it was designed was to be sort of at a group campfire. You crowdsource the nursery rhymes, so somebody will shout out the next one and that they want to hear, and so you make that one fit in. But our group has now gotten to the point where we're noticing the kids are, when we sing that one, the kids are choosing the same nursery rhymes over and over, and frequently in the same order all the time. And that's because they just don't know any others. They're not getting covered. So it's just, yeah, interesting. So the Mother Goose characters, you get those. Little old woman who lived in a shoe, had so many children she didn't know what to do. And the original, I believe, has something to do with promptly sending them straight to bed, which makes our kids totally laugh when we throw them out the window instead. So, yeah. That particular Geek Out happened to be very fortunate for this particular weekend. What do we got? We've got, well, Jack Sprat and his wife. So Jack Sprat could eat no fat, and his wife could eat no lean, and so betwixt them both they licked the butter clean. Sometimes I joke in our house that just because of the fact that Fantastic Sherlock Fox looks slim and I am very decidedly not, that I joke that I'm Jack Sprat's wife. That was actually one of the other themes that I'll probably do in a future base. I was actually quite seriously considering doing various different builds based upon nursery rhymes. Let's make sure that wasn't anything super critical. Nope, wasn't. But I had a bit of a loss on how to build a bit of a loss to build the little woman's shoe, so that'll be coming in a future design, maybe? Future base? No promises on when, though, but I think that'd be a fun one to do. Pardon me. Easy one would be Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to get her poor dog a bone, right? Because we know that when she got there, the cupboard was bare. While in Minecraft, it is super easy to build one big massive square box with open doors that's empty. I can handle that. I'm sure any brand new player could handle that. So, We have opportunities galore. Funny thing about doing this, this monastery design I've got going now, is sometimes I don't hear the little clicks like when I break something. Oops. And when it's supposed to get picked up. Like this block, I just broke it by mistake, and I didn't hear it get collected. So sometimes I'm looking over the edge going, did I drop them? Yeah, see I dropped one there, but I don't really care about the stone because I can stone generate more. But the stairs, or sorry, losing the polished deep slate would be a bit of a pain because I haven't actually mined any of my own yet. Me. Go. Hey James, how are you doing? It is
Hello.
nearly evening for me, but let me just see here. It is a resounding, oops, good morning on Monday morning to you, James. Oh, and I guess Minecraft, no. I guess Minecraft would be saying it's good evening, I suppose. Let's see, can I do this without falling into anything for a change? Just working and lurking. Okay. Thank you very much for spending your time to lurk. I appreciate that. We're just playing a little bit of Geek Out while I build some more on the monastery walls. And current one, we're naming off Mother Goose nursery rhyme characters. That's always a loose one. I said 6. What have we got? 2, I think? So we have ways to go. Unless you want to count, like, I think Jack and Jill might be. And Humpty Dumpty. Yep, so we got 4 or 5, I guess, more. Let's see. Oh! Was Peter Pumpkin Eater one of those? I think it was something like that. It's like Peter Pumpkin Eater had a wife and couldn't keep her, put her in a pumpkin shell, and there he kept her very well. I had a huge book of nursery rhymes when I was a kid, and I used to love it. One of those ones, you know, where they're like foolscap size pages, roughly. They're like huge, and with the hardcover and great big paper pages. And then the kids would like wander around the house with this thing. I don't think my mother still has it though. It's too bad, but I've got a niece and a nephew who'd be just about in the right window, age-wise, for them. That was mildly amusing because when we were playing our improv game at camp this weekend during campfire, and the reason we've been doing improv in short is our traditional campfires would actually have had, at Scouts, would actually have had skits. Not only have we gotten tired of seeing the same skits year in and year out, our youth, I don't know what it is, but they just don't seem to memorize them. Not very successful anyways. So we've gone to improvisation theater games, which is good because it gets everybody laughing and having a good time. But anyway, it gives fodder for new skits. But while we were playing our improv game, somebody asked my daughter to try and improv pretending that she was a Teletubbies television show, and it occurred to me that my kids had absolutely zero idea who the Teletubbies were, or are, or you know, something like that. Partly because they were controversial, but more importantly because we looked at the show and this is just stupid material, like juvenile for even juveniles. And so people across the British pond would know, or the Atlantic Ocean would know more about the Teletubbies than we did because it was very much a UK thing. But yeah, it was just one of those things that we chose not to expose our kids to, so they were quite at a loss. Somebody said, just pretend you're tall and you have a really funny looking antenna and that you're incredibly sus. Okay. Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me, but whatever. But we had all kinds of silly games going on that one, so. What else have we got? Nursery rhymes. I mean, a lot of it too is easy to mix up nursery rhymes with like some of the 30-second or less summaries of fairy tales. And of course, when fairy tales don't all involve fairies, it makes it even more confusing. You're right, Peregrine, but I didn't expect anybody else would agree with us on that one. Ooh, Jack Me Nimble, yes. And then there's, what's his name? Jack Thumb. There's it's not Jack Thumb, sorry. Little Jack Horner who sat in the corner, right? He's the one who's eating his Christmas pie. He stuck in his thumb and pulled out a plum and claimed, "What a good boy am I." Nope, wrong one. Well, thank you very much. So that particular set of fireworks was for a contribution. There we go. A contribution to community points goal. I know it's a lot, but what the community points goal is for is that I would like to build a Harry Potter Lego end-to-end as a stream. It's going to be the 12 Grimmauld Place set, where it's got a row housing, and then one of them is owned by Harry Potter at one point. But the house actually disappears between the other two row houses. Now, if people are interested in it, it gives me an idea of whether or not to do it on Twitch and do it soon. Or if we don't make the goal, then I can, shelve the idea for quite some time, take my sweet effort, and try and figure out how to set up for YouTube and do, things like major Lego builds only on YouTube. Because the community I have most of the time, and what I like to do most often, is to be playing Minecraft. So those two don't always mix together, And it also manages to split things so that we have one drip less Harry Potterness in an otherwise rather crazily busy Harry Potter stream. Actually, that's not true. My themes of Minecraft builds aren't Harry Potter, so that's probably a safe bet then. So if we get the fireworks with no other pop-up, then it's a contribution to that thing. I'm enamored with the fireworks a lot lately because it's easy to get my attention with them, so that's why I like them a lot. I was mucking around with new alerts recently, and it always is a little stressful at first when trying a new set of alerts, particularly ones that don't have like 35,000 layers to them that you can logic away how each part of it works. So what I'm using at the moment is actually an all-in-one page that someone else built. I looked at the code and I know how it works, but it's just, I'm not necessarily sure I'd know what to do if a single piece of it went wrong. And so the alerts, when we have, the raid and stuff, actually the raid was the only one that didn't fit, but what do you call them, subs, follows, etc., is a set of new ones that are Valheim themed, just because I like the way that sort of Scandinavian twist looks. And so they're all done as one page that just responds to whatever the event is going on. But I couldn't resist. I had to attach the fireworks to it, just because, I like the fireworks far too much. Thank you for giving a shout out to Peregrine. I really do appreciate that. Wow. We have some really strong anti-Teletubbies fans, and frankly, I can't blame you. On the other hand, I did get the kids, when they were really little, interested in the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse with some of the silly, more classic characters, like Professor Ludwig von Drake. And actually, he's always my favorite, but that's just because when I was a kid, he had really cheesy opening, like a theme song for the character. Anyways, so we got our kids into that, which, it tries to be a little higher aim, but when my son was interested most in that show was when he was a toddler that would have been, Teletubby target audience age. and he was into the other stuff that was supposedly aimed at kids higher, so I figured, okay, I wasn't going to argue. It was working in my favor. There we're here. We're still working... Actually, we've got a bunch of Mother Goose characters, but I'm wondering, now that we've gotten quite a few in there, can we exceed 6? But it sounds like Stormy would be the perfect person to have around when we're singing the second story window song. Because I would love to throw some of those characters out the window. There was I tried to get in permissions for a novelty song from like the 1940s that I really enjoyed, because the novelty songs work well as campfire songs in the main. Unfortunately, it was one where it was too close to cussing, so you won't get the lyrics on my stream, but well, maybe. But the long story is, if you look up on the internet the novelty song Shaving Cream, you can imagine just from that word that phrase what the near cuss is. And I was told when I first started, because it was kind of fun. I'd done it with scouts before and guides before, and so I thought, okay, this would be kind of cool to do. But I tried again to get permission this weekend, and we had 2 youth MCs for our campfire, and they're like, no. Just too bad, but oh well. On the other hand, these particular youth don't really have much of a sense of humor, so I guess I get what I asked for. But we played, so I was telling people we played improv games, but then we also had people improvising skits. So one of our scouters said, oh, I've got a skit, since we were saying, hey, does anybody have more, because we're running a little bit longer on the fire than we expected. Quick context on that was just that for our quote-unquote ceremonial campfires, you build a campfire that you assume is going to run in about an hour, like in terms of how it's going to burn. But if it burns shorter, then you just cut out extra stuff. If it tends to burn slower and go longer, then you fill it with other things, like more material. While we were running short on materials, this one scouter volunteered to jump in and got a volunteer to work with him, and then his skit was pretending he and his buddy were 2 cavemen playing rock, paper, scissors, except because they were Neanderthals, all they had was rock. So they had about 4 or 5 rounds of rock, 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 tie, rock, rock, tie. And then he finally goes, I really wish somebody would invent paper or scissors. And we just all had a good chuckle at that one. It was partially delivery, but it took us a second to figure out what on earth that they were just standing there saying rock, rock, rock over and over for. Little Miss Muffet, aha, yes. Yes. Unfortunately, I identify with Little Miss Muffet far too easily. Not just that I enjoy cottage cheese, which is basically curds and whey, but I don't like spiders any more than she does. Oops, that's not supposed to go there. That's why it'd be prevented, because I don't have it. Alright. Goodness gracious. There's a lot of fighting going on today. Alright. Did I run out of those too? Nope, I did not. What's going on here? Huh. Okay, let's just go back to the center and restock. Sleep away the night, you know, the drill. Pardon me. I do apologize to those that are not necessarily super enamored by the content tonight. I really did want to do something, you know, bang up and exciting and neat and, you know, all those kinds of things. Not usually very successful at finding those to do, but regardless, I didn't get that far. Oh, I know what I needed. Where did I put glass? No. bees. Part of the reason I didn't want to overdo it, I guess, is that I needed something that my brain can do on autopilot, because when I come back from camp, I'm usually pretty fried. Unfortunately, as your well first was seeing, even though I may be fried, as I said, it doesn't stop the chatter. Okay, where are we here? That wasn't where I left off. Oh, huh. Who's the winner this time? We have B Silver Bees, the new Champion Hill. Congratulations! For what it's worth, that's awesome. Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle? Oh yes. And the cow jumped over the moon with the little dog that laughed to see such a sight, and the dish ran away from with the spoon. So I mean, some of these, like that particular a diddle diddle type rhyme, there's probably, you know, you can reach 6, like, super easy. Well, thank you very much, Fantastic Sherlock Fox. You're spoiling us! He has been a great supporter of the channel, so it's a fantastic thing. I think we must have hit critical mass on subs or something. There's a randomizer on the fireworks. That means every once in a while, for a single event, you'll get an entire, in essence, fireworks party. So, and then when you see raids, one of the things that does trigger the raids, not raids, sorry, the fireworks in the raids, is they get, I think it's 1 firework per person coming across on the raid. So, and then they take a little longer to go off than some other types of fireworks because they shoot from the ground. Yes. Now the question on that one, would you count the sheep and the cow? Because little boy Blue is too busy being asleep in the hay. Now there's a quick question. Does anybody remember the art by the title Little Boy Blue? Just kind of curious. I mean, it was one of those ones that was like everywhere, and most of the time it'd be in like our grandparents' houses. Definitely. And Mother Hubbard's cupboard actually would probably be one I was saying, Stormy, that one could probably build as a base, because Minecraft is very conducive to squares. Well, I've got a really bad, a really lame dad joke for you guys that I heard this weekend. Involves, you know, my father used to say that whenever one door closes, another door opens. He wasn't talking about opportunity. He was just a really bad carpenter. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I think it was officially called Blue Boy, but it was like everywhere. There was a partner painting as well that was had a girl in it, but I don't think many of the houses that my family had the partner painting, like the girl one. But for some reason there were like 2 or 3 different copies of this Boy Blue, I think it was. Well, you can tell Stormy's been a parent. I just I am dying to know, Stormy, did you ever fall for the trap of singing about Thumbkin? That was one I used to think was ridiculous, and I was not going to expose my kids to it. Unfortunately, my mother did, and as expected, my kids fell for it. Yep. I was actually looking for a video of the Thumbkin and Hands song. It was like, where is Thumbkin? On the internet one day, and like that's what I was aiming for. But that's how I tripped over my first exposure to the Harry Potter puppets with Severus Snape. And for those of you that are familiar with this one, it talks about Snape, Severus Snape, and Dumbledore. And Ron Weasley. Yes. And that was my first experience because I'd originally been looking for Thumbkin stuff. But of course, being a Harry Potter fan, I couldn't resist taking a look, you know, falling down that rabbit hole. And every once in a while, as you can tell, it gets stuck in my head. Pinky Actually. Is that what it's called? Huh. Cool. I think my dad's mum at one point started a counted cross stitch for the blue boy, but I know my grandmother had a print of it in her house in Saskatchewan, and it was just one of those things that, like, when I was a kid, it used to freak me out because, of course, like all paintings, they seem to watch you, and when it's old sort of themed paintings in your parents' or in your grandparents' house, and the house is creaking and everything else, you start to really think they're watching you. It was the dumbest thing I ever fell for. Of course, and then my brother wasn't into horror movies back then, but he still used to love to try and make me, you know the boy blue will come get you if you stay awake too long at night. It's like, but the weird part is he's my younger brother. And just growing up, I was never a horror fan, movies and such, but he turned out to be quite the horror fan, so maybe it was horror fan in the making way back then. Just loving to scare your sibling is enough, though, isn't it? Yeah, we've got all kinds of weird stuff. Something I had on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember what it was, but that's okay. If I remember, I will tell you, I guess. So, on stream, as I said, I like to have big bang projects to do, but discovered placing blocks not so effective for big bang projects for me. On the other hand, now that, even though I don't know how to use Lightmatica really well, I know it well enough now that I can both make a schematic out of something and place schematics to paint them, and then you adjust and turn that into your fixed version. So I know enough about doing that, which is helpful. Hindsight 2020, I would not have done the Egyptian statues by hand the way I did last season, because that was one ton of work. What do we got here? The dumbest horror movie you ever not saw was The Thing with Two Heads by Rosie Crew and Ray Midland. Oof. When was that out? It's funny, I don't like any of the modern horror flicks at all. Like, zero. But, and I'll say that, but I do actually quite enjoy some of the ones that would be considered ridiculously campy by today's standards. Such as, good old classic Swamp Thing, and like the early Lon Chaney Dracula movies and things like that. Just, they were meant to be scary back then, in like the 30s and 40s and so on, but they're totally not now, and that's why I find them kind of interesting, because I have sort of a side interest, don't do anything with, more of a curiosity about movie magic and movie effects. I mean, movie magic in the magician sense, but also movie magic in the special effects sense. And so, looking at it that way, I quite like those super old flicks. And some of the really cheesy special effects. Oops. Oh, right. I'm in the glass window. Oh, good. The things like an alien for The Day the Earth Stood Still, which I still think is somebody who dressed up in their, like, what do you call it, baseball uniform, stuck a bucket on their head. That's how it ever felt to me. Rain, rain, go away, come again another day. reach these? No, I cannot. Ridiculous, stupid, but funny was The Incredible Melting Man from 1977. One scene he's melting, he goes to a fridge. Your friend yelled Big Mac attack. Nice! I like your friend's sense of humor. Yeah, it's like you got midnight snack munchies. I will admit, I've been in theaters where stuff's been yelled out. There was one, what was I watching? I'm trying to remember. I think it was one of the Potter films, because I went to a lot of those on my own, or it's just about every other film I've seen with other people. Just, it worked out that way. Anyway, but somebody who clearly knew the books, clearly knew the story, and they were just being ridiculous about the whole thing. And I don't remember which one. I think it was like the 4th book or something. We're sitting in a theater, and oh, I know what it was. And then we've got a character that's learning about how they can breathe underwater. So they get the answer of gillyweed, the weed that you eat, and it gives you gills. And this person sitting in the theater goes, "Really? I would have never guessed that." Uh-huh. It's funny though, I agree with you, yet on the same time, so there's the funny, and then there's the other side where it's not, if you don't do it, it's not scary and people are disappointed. And then there's the other twist, there's the weird batch, like me, and I call that weird batch because, I can't do horror, it's just not something I can handle. At the same time though, I also can't do the parody horror. So things like Scream doesn't work for me. And the reason that movie doesn't work for me is because I'm too susceptible to jump scares. And the jump scare part is what would get me. So it's not about, in the parody films, it's not about, all the ridiculously dreadful foreshadowing so that by the time the thing shows up, nothing's scary in that sense. It can be completely vanilla, and I'll still get jump scared by stuff. I mean, I get jump scared in game all the time from the dumbest things. So in movies, I really easily get jump scared. And so that's why I can't even do silly ones like Scream, simply because it's the jump scares that get me. It's not the fact that it's even really scary. It just made me jump is all. Yeah, my brother's got a standing challenge to his friends to try and recommend a horror flick that will actually make him feel scared. And apparently, from what I hear tell, his friends have yet to actually find one where he owes them a drink for that reason. It's like, meh, such and such film that should be really scary was okay. I mean, my brother's the kind of guy who, the first time he saw Stephen King's It, he fell asleep. I can't say that's necessarily high horror in any way, shape, or form, but it gives you a rough idea of what we're dealing with here. But I mean, that's, it works out well, because I mean, if I'm choosing to be in a family-friendly mode, not just in stream, but in life, just so that I don't have to worry about mixing the two together, and accidentally messing that up, then, what do I have there? Is that a slab? Weird. Okay, fine. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to figure out why I can't place some of these things, and it's because I've got bottom slabs or something. Weird. Okay, anyway. There's a couple of odd spots, like this one right here. It says it's a stone slab type double. Well, last I checked, this should look exactly the same as double, the stone slabs. But no, it doesn't like it. Whatever. But it makes it easy for me not to worry about a film being not, like violence-wise, not appropriate for my kids, because they can generally guarantee that if I won't watch it, then it probably wouldn't have been good for them either. There are exceptions now, though. I mean, things like, I saw Jurassic Park about 2 or 3 times. I now just don't see what the point is. So, you know, I'm not a really good measure in that sense. Yeah, my bad. Though, I mean, if you want a weird twisted connection, there's always more than one that uses nursery rhymes as their modus operandi to make it say, yeah, we're safe, but we're weird and twisted. Okay, let's see. On that note, let's try a new geek out, and I'll put it out this time. Geek out. So for anyone's curiosity, anyone can do a geek out. I haven't got them behind a paywall or a clue wall. The only kicker is that there's a 5-minute timer. The double slab again, like really? What is this guy doing? Is that a block? No. Oh, I'm out of those. Okay, well that makes some sense at least. Double slabs again. Weird. I'm just not used to people that would design a build and then use something sort of semi-nonsensical, like the whole double slab thing, before they, like, and not fix that before they put it up on somewhere like Planet Minecraft. Oh well. So let's see, what have we got right now? We have got 6 shows on which a puppet or stop animation appears. When they say shows, they actually mean literally television shows, just so you know. Clearly, the Muppets would qualify. And I think we may have had this one once before, but during the week. Where was I going? Pull up on stuff. So yeah, so 6 shows in which a puppet or stop animation appears. We have, so we could have the Muppets, we've got Sesame Street, we've got Bear in the Big Blue House, although, hey, if I get out of Henson Productions, we'll be doing well. So what have we got here? 32. That. And we'll go for bricks, shore bricks. You're not showing your age, B Silverbeat. Here's a did you know. Actually, a couple of did you knows that I don't think you were around for when I first mentioned it. But Sherry Lewis, I'm going to real name drop here. Sherry Lewis is who I'm named after, actually. That's how you spell my first name. And she was actually a magician, like a stage magician, for quite a long time. And Lamb Chop was a side thing. That was just like a character that was on the side, her sideshow, but that became her whole, basically everything. That was what she became known for. That and the song that doesn't end. Yeah, so I guess you could say it's kind of, well, maybe it's not funny? Yeah. But I kind of figure it's mildly ironic in that whole, like, Alanis Morissette not ironic way. That, of course, I'd end up with a daughter who's absolutely head over heels for sheep and alpacas and such. Yeah, I guess the story I hear told, if I remember it correctly, is that Sherry Lewis had done a television special for Magic the night my mom went into labor, and they were still thinking about names, so I was nearly a Robin, but I my dad liked Sherry Lewis's magic work, and so there's where the tail goes. Come on. Good one, Fantastic Sherlock Fox. I think I told you guys that about the story the one time when I was younger in junior high, we were riding the cheese wagon, aka the school bus, and they started singing "This Is the Song That Never Ends," and they had been doing this for like off and on for weeks. But the bus driver actually got in trouble eventually for because what he actually did, his response was, we were on the side of our number 2 highway in the province, number 1 being the Trans-Canada. Our number 2 is a north-south highway that runs between our city and another one. And he pulled over on the shoulder of this highway, it runs through, of course, and told us that if we didn't stop singing that song, he would not move the bus. So we sat there for probably about 35 or 40 minutes because the kids wouldn't stop singing the song. Apparently he got in a lot of trouble for making all the kids late for their pickups at their bus station or bus stops. On the other hand, I still give him props for like having the guts to do that. It is kind of a funny story. We tried something similar with the Ren and Stimpy log song, but unfortunately, to our dismay, the bus driver liked that one. And then, you know, as one of the fastest ways to shut up a pranking kid is when you start singing along with the song they think is a prank. So yeah, that's a good way to make the kid stop. Yellow school bus with the caps? I wonder if a person who wrote that notice had autocorrect issues with bus being changed to taxi. Yep. You have a good time, Peregrine. We'll see you around. I'm actually quite surprised. Every time I do a stream weekend, I'm always surprised. It sounds funny when we have a raid train. One should almost expect to have a few people pop in. That's kind of what it's all about in a way. But I'm always surprised because I have a tendency to pick slots that are often people's dinner hour. Either that or slightly after dinner, and they're still getting dishes washed up or kids put to bed or whatever. Or for some people, if they're west of us, it's their nearly dinner hour and they're still busy trying to get cooking done. Is it just me, or did it feel like this Minecraft day went really quickly? Maybe I placed blocks just that slowly. The game knows. It always knows. If only I had an evil laugh of my own to go with that, then the joke would have worked better. Alright, where are we here? Oh, don't want to get knocked off. That would be less than ideal. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Anytime my friends want to drop by, it's awesome. Pardon me. We had some. I was telling you about the fact that we had some interesting, diverse individuals in our group. Not just, how do you call it? I guess not just neurodiverse, but I mean some interesting personalities. Most scale groups do, But it was kind of funny because if you want to scare somebody. And we had a lot of fun, but we had our our scouts, the older section. On the 13th, we went downtown to see our provincial courthouse, which, well, let me correct that. It used to be the provincial courthouse. Now it's the, it's got like the national level of court as well, and some local stuff that like traffic tickets and whatever, even though most of that's online. It's the ones where if you've had your license suspended, you have to go argue in front of a judge why you think you should be able to get your ticket or your license back. I came down for a reason. Anyway, but the vehicles, we got to see some of the cool transport vans and stuff like that, but the vehicles did not have an opportunity to get cleaned beforehand, which was funny because one of the people with us, one of the other scout leaders, happens to be, like, he works for the maintenance department of the police, so his job is actually taking police cruisers in to the wash bays and whatever, and getting someone else to do the washing part, but that's his job, is the tow truck portion of it. And he was saying if it had been cleaned out, it would have been mildly hilarious to catch some of the kids who are just not paying attention whatsoever, and like with their parents' permission, of course, and then basically snap the cuffs on him, temporarily arrest him, and chuck him in one of the vans, and then just walk out of the room for a while. Because our ones that tend to goof off like that are actually the Scouters' kids, and they're not on the spectrum order, they're just being silly. But it's the whole, we're gonna get Scouter so-and-so, and it's like, yeah, you wouldn't. And they're starting to pull that teenager, you wouldn't dare kind of deal. It's like, not just watch me. It's kind of fun as scout leaders every once in a while to sort of give each other that whole hold my beer look and then go do something. It's not necessarily, to be punitive or anything. It's just, that if the kids had the equipment, they actually about 20 minutes earlier were discussing just doing like that very thing. Not the adults doing it, but as in, hey, if I had access, I would love to do this, and they're just joking, right? But we did catch them at one point because the scout leader who was in the towing thing, he talked to the one who was leading the tour, and he just goes, I'm just gonna go sit in the driver's seat of the next van. And the other guy's like, yeah, sure, it's unlocked, go for it. Knowing that what was happening, so the other guy, he jumps out rather suddenly as soon as one of the kids was instructed to open the back of the van so they could all have a look. All he did was just open the door and go, hey, and they just didn't expect it. And it was funny to see some of them like jump 2 feet high. Let's see. Yeah, I like the idea of it. We get, part of the reason I was going with this earlier, part of the reason we get such a rounded bunch of youth, well, how do I explain that? More of a smorgasbord. I know I don't intend to eat them. But a wide range of youth, and sometimes more so than sports, is because we offer up, like any scouting program would, skills that can be used in all sorts of areas of your life. And it's not just social skills or just sports skills, or there's other things you can do too. The other part of it is we kind of get quote unquote stuck with it because they've got this mission statement that talks about providing well-rounded youth better prepared for success in the world. And so there's a bit of a standing gag when we get the kids to plan their meals for camp. And the standing gag is basically related to, well, if it's well-rounded youth, then we better make sure they have lots of different things to eat at camp because we can't send them home skinny. But really, it's all that sort of thing that because of that opportunity and the fact that there's opportunities for the parents to stay involved in the program. So even if one's not, say, a sports coach or something, one doesn't even have to have been a scout to be able to get the basic training to become a leader. And then part of it you learn from other leaders or from the activities of the older youth before you get your youth in there. So it's kind of neat. Anyway, have yourself a great evening, BC4B. We'll see you again soon. All right. We have the magic number 13. I love that. It's funny, I won't carry stacks of things in 13s and whatever. It's not necessarily luck, it's more that because of the luck thing, I tend to have a bad habit of losing things, breaking things, and, you know, on and on. But when it's going to, you know, room numbers or floor numbers or... Oh, we can't take that elevator, why? It's the 13th elevator. I love using those kinds of units and stuff simply because it bugs others. Okay, where are we here? Oh, and I needed glass, and I needed stone. There was something else I was out of, wasn't there? I can't recall. Not important. Not important. But one of the things the Scouters always love to reminisce about when we have camp is the things, you know, like everybody does. Change, right? We reminisce about change and sort of things that we could do, quote unquote, back in our day that you can't do now. And such as, like, song content. I think we were alluding to this a little bit earlier. There's one that we used to use as kids about the guy who, like, jumped from 40,000 feet and forgot to pull the cord. Unfortunately, yeah, that's considered now too violent, and it's dissuading kids from particular outdoor activities, even though it's not like skydiving is any sort of activity that Scouts is going to be ever offering. But yeah, we got told we couldn't use that one anymore. I think that actually it's possible that it may not be an across-the-board ban on that song. It could just be simply that our particular group commissioner who put a block on it at the time just either A, didn't personally like that song, or B, was worried that somebody else would get fussy, so he was just beating them to the punch. But it's interesting to see different stuff and hearing different songs. We'd love to get more in our group, but nobody seems to want to learn new songs like that anymore. We've even talked about using stuff off the radio, and people just don't seem to want to get themselves involved in it, so I just don't know. Well, exactly. Exactly. You would want them to actually remember to do stuff like that. I mean, isn't that kind of the point of some of these songs? Yes, it's kind of silly, but it also, no kid wants to be like the character in the song if the character did something absolutely idiotic. But I guess if that really was, you know, the intended case in modern days, we would have all kinds of instructions, and, like, there's probably an instructional song on knife skills. I never looked for it, but there probably is. And somebody writes a song about just about everything. We were joking about our cub leader, because they go by Jungle Book names, so we were joking about our Akela this weekend, except the kids were talking about the food being Akela's restaurant, and the first thing that occurred to me in my head was to reuse the Alice's Restaurant song. And so we were joking about you could eat anything you want from our Kayla's restaurant. And so someone else was joking with me a little bit. I just sort of said to him, you know, I bet you somebody could probably rewrite the lyrics to Alice's Restaurant just in time for, like, the group camp in June. And they're like, you're weird. It took me a second to figure out why they thought I was weird. It's because I'm the only one that'd be dumb enough to do anything like that. Most of the others don't put that much effort into it because they have real lives and day jobs. They said they would think it's funny, but they just wouldn't bother taking the time to do it. The Triangle of Death? Blood circle, blood circle! Yeah. There's your non-family friendly violence moment for the day. Pocket knife skills 101. Blood circle, blood circle! Oh yeah, they do. I mean, like, for example, one of our favorite scouters, at my son's scout troop level. Unfortunately, he won't be staying next year because his son is aging up. But one of our favorite ones is actually, he's into orchids. Like, not something you'd normally pair up with, you know, being an enthusiastic outdoor activities kind of individual, loving watercraft and all that kind of stuff. And the dude raises orchids. Apparently, he pays tuba or something like that. I don't really quite know. And loves to do his own DIY work, but invariably, every time he does DIY renos in his house, every time, something goes ridiculously wrong. Or he's had one of those ridiculously wrong 1 in a million type things happen that's caused him to do his DIY. You know, plumbing on the outdoor wall kind of stuff in freezing weather. And it's the kind of thing where you wonder why the house was ever built that way. But this poor guy's a magnet for it, and he's half decent at it. It's just he always has to deal with, oh, yeah, well, this is the one where you need that particular random tool that nobody ever really has. And that when you go to try and rent it from the tool shop, of course, that's the one day that they just don't understand it, and every one of them has been rented and they're out. It's like, does karma go and pre-rent the tools before they cause you havoc? I don't know. I need to explain it now. What was that I needed to explain? Oh. No, actually that wasn't it. I'll be honest, sometimes if I don't catch a comment quick enough, that I may have said something, run my mouth for a minute or two, and not realized what it was I said when somebody says, you know, that needs a little bit more filler. Like to make it so people aren't misunderstanding you. Oh. Yes. Understood, totally. When one is using a pocket knife or a fixed blade knife or whatever in our scout program, they have a safety circle, basically. That's really what it is. It's a safety circle. But it's basically the circle that's got to be wide enough that you're sure you're not going to be drawing blood, right? So it's come to be nicknamed the blood circle. And to the story that goes with that, involving me directly, is not an injury-related story. But when I was helping out with the youngest section, these are 5 to 7-year-olds. No, don't worry, they don't get knives. They're not that silly. But they had an event where basically it's a little, you know, those mini camp jamboree kind of things for the little guys. It was kind of fun. One of our other scouters that went with us, his daughter was part of our camp thing, and she's got an older brother who was in Cubs, and he's now one of our leaders. But anyways, the long story made short, something like that, yes. But she was with us when we were at this event, and what we were doing is they were teaching them to use, or to carve shapes, because they wanted to do what the big kids did, basically. To carve shapes on soap bars. You know, that's a pretty safe shape. You can't hurt yourself on things. So what they were using was little wooden knives that had been carved out of other wood. So they weren't even pointy. They were like, I mean, to call it a butter spreader would be generous for these things. So anyways, this one youth, she was carving away on her soap bar, and I went to go look over her shoulder and see how she was doing. You know, hey, how's it going, and kind of thing. But I guess I got too close, just a little bit, and she turned out and shouted at the top of her lungs, blood circle, you're in my blood circle! It's like, whoa! I mean, a lot of... Oh, we didn't light something up. Okay. A lot of times there will be... Where did I not light up? Let's go take that poor guy out. Where are you, sir? Probably up top, I think. No, I can't be, though. You'd burn. Where are you? I can hear you. Crazy Benedictines. Not a whole lot of doors in this place. Are you stuck in the tower? You must be. This is like the only place I've got a door. Okay, numbers, numbers. We should be fine. Okay. Okay. Oh, I've got a cave under here. Oh, is that what that is? Going, okay. There's nothing. Oh, well, maybe kind of, sort of. Do I have any gaps? Weird gaps in here? Nope. I mean, I didn't light up in there, and that's going to be a problem. But, so it looks like that guy was underground. Yeah, let's see how close it is. What do we have now? I'm down here. Oh. Well, that's really not all that far. Where is the... It didn't take me long to lose that guy when I went up, so he's got to be around here somewhere. You in the wall? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know. We'll find him. Anyway. Yeah, she just like totally flipped her head over her shoulder and gave me a what for. It was really, really kind of a unique attitude. But that's where that whole blood circle thing came from. In terms of shouting it out and stuff. Really, it's just... So it's your safety circle so that you're not going to cut somebody, right? Oops. Ow. Yeah, so it's just a safety circle altogether. And this gal just figured I was going to be in her blood circle and that she definitely had to tell me what's what. Okay. Oh, glass. That's what I was down there for. I don't have any. Alright, well. Fun Q. Do I have any lava? Do I have any bits for this? 1 bucket of lava. Okay, that'll do. Stove. Hopper. I only have one. This will do, because I only have the 1 stack of sand anyway. So yeah, that was where that one came from. Technically, actually, with our 8 to 10-year-olds, we are allowed to do knife projects. We just need to make sure that we collect the tools away from them when you're not working on the project and that you have a lot of supervisors. Wow. I swear this. Geek Out has it in for me this weekend. Some of them are too perfect, and some of them are way out to lunch. And 4 programs aimed at preschoolers. So maybe, I guess, like the Thomas the Tank Engine railway stories stuff? Like the Shining Town Station and so on? Barney and Friends, yeah. I mean, there was a time where you probably could have included Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, possibly. But that one's also for, like, early schoolers. And Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, yes. What else do we have? Actually, I'm going to give us a free one, because we just really wiped that one off the board. Okay, so 2 TV shows with an evil twin or doppelganger episode. There we go. Jeez, can you imagine how boring that would be? If we, well, actually, maybe not boring, maybe quite the opposite, maybe exciting. If you had a, you know, evil Delenn. Like, honestly, what would that be? I might actually, gee, she might actually pull pranks for once in her life. Whew! Wouldn't know what to do with that as a heartbeat. yes, the whole Riker, Thomas Riker stuff was all doppelganger twin things. I mean, they've had Spider-Man, like that's a good one that a lot of people have seen, is the Spider-Man twin stuff. Data and Lore tried to pull that, yes, before Lore got found out as not really being Data's twin in that sense. What else we got? Let's go up one more. Oh, and I need... I'm really not doing well with all these pieces. Okay, let's go get some wood too. Oh, yeah. Of course I go to that story and it reminded me of something and then I completely forgot all of a sudden. So we had youth when these ones are like the 8-year-olds. They thought it would be really funny to pull a prank on somebody. It didn't really matter who in this case. But they thought it would be really hilarious to pull a prank. Except they then promptly went and told the prankster to their face they were pulling a prank on them. Not the prankster, the prankee. The things that kids do that just boggle my mind sometimes. I needed wood. Right, that's what it's for. It's not so effective as a prank if you tell them. But some of these guys just couldn't quite figure that out. Oh, shush. You can hear that zombie, so they've obviously, like, spawned in some sort of nook or cranny that I haven't found yet. This one will do. Nope, gotta get that one too. Delenn, your character's not as slim as you think it is. Here we go. Reach down and deal with the glass. I actually have glass. As the moon comes up. Right. So you guys can see I owe the church a lot of torches. But at the moment, most of the layers that were to spawn things had lighting, so I wasn't too fussed. But clearly, that's going to be an issue. No? Come on, glass. Oh. Really? Way through the holes. Okay. Under crash into something? There we go. We are almost done, so let's check and see. Alright, so probably one of the best blocks to put in here for this whole shebang would just be a generic stone for Abbey walls. And we don't have an anvil out here. We've got just about everything else, but we don't have an anvil. So I'll give it a couple minutes. As I understand it, I'm handing off to Stormy, Huge Stormy L. But I do not, where am I going? There was a reason I was here. Wow, lost track of that thought. Okay. And then given that is the case, I will go deal with the block then instead. I have to figure out my Discord chitter chatter because I see Stormy has just dropped into the chat screen. And I have not got her volume on live. Give me a split sec. Discord. Let's get me over there.
Hello. It's been good. Okay. You said just a generic stone? Abbey rises. Okay.
Yep. So anyway, if you are ready, I can definitely hand the parade to you.
Yeah, that's fine. We're getting ready for a server restart, so they'll just be on my starting soon screen for a second.
And I had you way up, so yeah. I'd figure that one out in the future, but maybe we'll test that another day. Because they were good for next month. Okay, yeah, you're on your starting soon screen?
Yep.
Then I can probably take the time then to go and at least plant the stream box where I said I was going to, even though I'm not having it on the same server as you. So where did I put the stream
Yeah,
box?
we've been keeping up on both servers. CJ's been doing the Java side, and I've been doing the Bedrock side, so we don't have to like chase down things after the fact.
Nope, that's the wrong box. I did the whole putting it in a safe place and then promptly forgot where it was. Okay. I see one. They didn't name it, they just called it Shulker Box, but at least it's got all the right pieces in it. That's the important part. So let me know when you want the crew, and otherwise, we were yakking a little bit about this Abbey thing, and I way derailed today. Way derailed. The family
looks like
friendly
you've got a lot of
for
stuff
maybe
done,
nurturing
though.
characters. And next thing you know, I got into discussion of horror films, even though I can't stand horror.
Yeah, but it looks like you got a lot of progress done.
Oops. I forgot I wasn't in studio mode. Ha ha ha. Don't ask what people were seeing for a while. A lot of black. All right, yeah, I got some stuff done. We're still chugging away at that one. Let's see, where do I have map? Northwest, east. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we're getting there slowly. I think the one that would have been more exciting if I'd been at the spot ready to do it would be to actually try and herd existing librarians and existing, cleric across a rather sketchy bridge that doesn't even exist yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all good.
All right. Well, our server restart is all done. So if you want to send them over, we are ready.
Excellent. Will do. All right, everybody. So we're going to send you guys all off to Stormy, and I'm just going to drop my box over in the post office, and I'll probably go back and wrap up the mess we made before we go home. And I get to put my toes up and watch Stormy and actually let Camp Brain take over. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, there should be a podium up in the top floor of the post office you can send it on.
Yep. But I think I'm
I
gonna.
don't know if it's labeled.
It was once upon a time. And I just blew a hole in the floor, but I'll fix that up in a minute. Okay. So let's get the raid going before I break anything else. And see if my happy buttons work today. Nope. Oh, there we go. We're going to manage some mischief and send them on over.
Transfer complete.